everyone. My name is Sujata Jayaprakash, and I've been a social worker and a counselor for the last 25 plus years. I've been working with women and children with HIV and traumatized backgrounds, and I've also been working with survivors of human trafficking. This has been my long experience of working and counseling people. And so today, I'm going to talk to you about safeguarding children from abuse in a church setting. To begin with, I have a question for you. Are our children safe in a church setting? While you think about this question, I would like to share a real story with you. Story of a young girl who was just 12, who had moved into the city with her parents, into a new place, into a new city, and they joined a new church, which was a believing church, and they began to go to this church as a family. Now, she had her siblings who were younger than her, and they were all part of the Sunday school. Her parents blindly trusted, like we all do, and sent the children to Sunday school. Now, nothing was wrong with the Sunday school. Sunday school was a beautiful place. She enjoyed, she loved, and she shared a lot of things she learned. Eventually, she made friends with all the children in Sunday school. And slowly, she made friends with all the youth in the church and other church members. Like we all do, we start getting to know people, we get familiarized with people, people get familiar with us and our families, and that's how we grow in our relationships, and which is exactly what she did as a 12-year-old. Now what happened was, in the youth, there was a young boy who was heavily involved in pornography. Now he was not only involved in pornography, but all the sexual sins. Now, this was the problem he was struggling with because he did not have a male figure in his house whom he could look up to. The church members, most of them didn't know his weakness and his addiction, but his mother knew about it. His brother knew about it. Youth leader knew about it. Church leaders knew about it, but nobody stepped in to help him in his problem. Nobody took an action for him to stop doing what he's doing. And so he made friends among the youth and among the Sunday school children because he had a brother in the Sunday school who was also introduced to pornography at a very young age. Now he befriended this girl and she trusted him. She trusted him, maybe like an elder brother or uncle or whatever she called him, because he was an adult, could be in the age of 18 or 19 that time. And so he was older. He made friends with all the Sunday school children. He played with them, he joked with them, he laughed with them. And so obviously everybody trusted him. And one day he asked this girl, "Do you play online games? Do you play computer games?" And her response was, "Yes, I do." Like every other children, they play games and we allow them to play certain games. And he said, "I'm going to share some links with you. Why don't you go and check this out? You will like it." And this little girl was innocent, ignorant. She didn't know what she was getting into. And while he gave it to her, there was a condition. Remember, there was a condition. Do not open these links when your parents are at home. Do not share these links with your parents or anybody in the family. Now she did as he said. She went home and she opened these links when she was by herself. She began to look, and they were pornographic links. She was shocked. She was surprised. She was scared. She didn't know what to do and how to respond. And so she quickly shut the website down. But you know what? She had already sown the seed of sin by opening that link. He had already sown the seed by giving her the link. And so she had those links, and she, even though she was scared, there were times she felt the urge to see it. This is such a real story. She went back and forth with these links. And we all know if we open these sensitive links, there are pop-ups, there are other links, there are other things that pop up too. And you are sucked into more and more temptation. There is so much that is online that you can get involved in. And That's exactly what happened to her. Now, at the age of 26, she realized this is too much. She's thick, involved in sexual activities and pornography. The addiction is so strong, it's taken over her. She's depressed, she's angry, she has anger bouts, she lives in isolation, cannot socialize, cannot make friends because she has been cheated, right? At a very young age. So she does not trust people. But she's not able to get out of this either. So now she has come to terms with, I need help. And she is being counseled right now, going through counseling, a lot of heartaches, a lot of heartbreaks. Parents are going through a lot of difficult times, knowing the fact that this happened in a church setting where we trusted everyone to be holy, righteous. It is hard for them to believe. And it's even more hard for this girl to know that what she's into is not by choice. She didn't go looking for it. It walked up to her in that innocent age and impacted her life for at least 14 long years. Believe me, this is real. And this is what I want to tell you all. As Sunday school teachers, you need to be alert. Children are vulnerable and they need protection from people who are always looking to harm them. Child abuse is real, sadly, even in the church. So today, I'm going to talk to you about safeguarding children from abuse. I understand the slides will come across as I'm talking, so you will know what I'm referring to. I have my slides opened here and I'm going to use them as I'm talking in this session. So every Sunday school teacher, every church volunteer who volunteers to work with children programs, play a crucial role in spotting and responding sensitively to potential signs of abuse. Now let's look at some of the signs. How can we be alert and compassionate in a church setting? There are 3 objectives of this training. If we have to break it down, first is to understand the nature of child abuse and how it hides. Second is to learn to recognize signs of abuse and intervene appropriately. And the third one is implement effective policies and practices to protect children. The role of child abuse is pervasive, even in churches. So let's not think that this will not happen in my church. This will not happen with my Sunday school teachers. This will not happen to my children. Let's not think that way. It exists. It is real. We need to be alert. And each one of you are here to take the first step to prevent abuse. Please remember, zero tolerance to abuse is something each one of you need to keep in mind. Zero tolerance to abuse. Create a safe, nurturing environment for children. This is the role of a church. Now, how do we recognize abuse? We need to understand there are different kinds of signs that you will see when a child is going through abuse. Now, I'm not saying that start looking for problems, start looking everything from the angle of abuse. No, we need to learn to filter. This is why this training. So there are some things that you need to look for. First of all, physical signs. Now, very often children very innocently come and tell us when they fall in the school, they get hurt during PT period. They come and tell you, I fell, I was running, I was doing this, I was doing that, and they tell you they got hurt. But when a child has a bruise or a cut or an unexplained injury on their body, which they know is not from a normal falling or a small accident, they do not talk about it. It just stays there. You probably can see it and sometimes you cannot. But they don't talk about it. If you try to ask them, they can stay quiet. Some can tear, they can tear up and not explain because children do not have the vocabulary to tell exactly what is happening. So remember, there may be physical signs. Secondly, there are behavioral changes. A child that has been very active and bubbly can suddenly become very quiet, withdrawn, fearful, or very aggressive. So they can either become very quiet, or the other way to do it is to be very aggressive, be very vocal, be very loud, or become very quiet and not respond to whatever you're asking. I know of a girl who was so scared of men in general because she had seen things at a very young age. And so every time she saw men, she would start trembling. No matter who they are and how nice they are, she could not stand any man. And that is one of the signs you would see in their behavior. Third would be developmental signs, regression or unusual knowledge of adult topics. Small children talking about sexual things, mentioning or watching videos. You need to be alert when they say certain things to you. Small children or children of the age of 9 and 10 wanting to get very physical with opposite sex, kissing on the lips. These kind of things are very common. And finally, emotional signs. Low self-esteem, feeling like I'm not worth anything because they feel they are dirty. It's not nice what happened to them. They begin to self-blame. They begin to feel like they are the reason for whatever has happened to them or whatever was done to them. They worry a lot about what will happen because they don't know. Or depressive symptoms. They can be depressed even if they are children. They may not be able to pinpoint and tell you exactly what they are going through, but they can go into depression as well. So, as Sunday school children, they look up to you. So, what are we going to do? Building a safe environment. What does that mean? Foster a safe, open environment. What does that mean? Build trust with children. Develop warmth with them. Be supportive in relationships with children so they feel safe, confident in you if something is wrong. They will come and confide in you. First, they build trust and confidence. When they know that they can speak to you, is when they will tell you what is not right about them. Be approachable as Sunday school teachers and volunteers. Make sure children know that you can come, they can come to you with any concerns and reassure them that they will be taken seriously. They will be heard. Encourage children to share, but that comes when you build a relationship. Model respect and boundaries. Showing respect for children's personal space and promoting healthy boundaries reinforces that their safety and comfort are important. Watching for unusual interactions, peer-to-peer interaction. Watch for bullying, intimidation, or inappropriate behavior among children that could indicate peer pressure. As teachers, adult to child interaction, notice if any adults, including the volunteers, seem overly attached or if children seem uncomfortable around some adults. Watch for it. Be alert. Take note of it. Don't start disciplining them or correcting them. Be sensitive. Look for the non-verbal cues. Observe the body language and isolation. Open dialogue with children. Teach age-appropriate safety topics. Create safe sharing opportunities for children. Help children create an environment where they will be able to share something that's on their heart easily and openly. Regularly check in with them with open-ended questions so that they know they are here to share and they will be heard and it is a safe place. The next important thing is training and education. Equip your team. Every team member needs to be trained in understanding what is abuse, how to recognize it, and how to deal with it in a sensitive and respectful way. So equip your team on these trainings. Mandatory abuse prevention training. Every single teacher and volunteer must go through a training, which is mandatory, to understand and recognize abuse. Regular refreshers and scenario-based learning for the teachers and the volunteers before any camp or any kind of programs that are going to be conducted, and for regular Sunday school. Next is empowering children. Empowering children is very, very important part of this whole process. Teach body safety to children, boundaries and consent. Teach them to report when they feel uncomfortable about something. Foster a culture of openness in your classes where children can openly talk to you. Encourage children to speak up. Let them know that you're there to listen and to help them. It's very important to build that trust with children when they know that Sunday school teacher is available to hear. Engaging parents. It's important that parents are engaged in this process because end of the day, the children will go back home and we need to build that confidence in the parents to support their child when he or she is sharing some sensitive information with them. So keep parents informed. Invite parents to observe or volunteer. Provide materials on abuse prevention, which they can read up or watch. Nowadays, there is a lot and lots of material available. Let parents be trained in that. Creating safe physical spaces. Open door policy. Have open doors while you're conducting classes. Don't be behind closed doors. Don't let adult or a child or children to be in closed doors. Keep the doors open. Try and be in glass rooms where there are glass doors or glass walls where people from outside can look inside. Use rooms with windows or open doors. Supervision, cameras or regular check-ins. I know nowadays some of the churches have cameras which are on and active, which is a good thing. Also make sure there are 2 adult rule. Avoid isolated interactions. Always talk to children with another adult. So there are 2 people who are witness to whatever the child says or whatever happens. No isolated conversation with children in a separate room. What are some of the preventive measures that we could take in a church setting? Develop policies, screening, training, reporting, and conduct guidelines. There must be a clear guidelines of what is expected of a teacher, of a volunteer, or anyone who comes to work with children. Check their backgrounds. Screen them well before you appoint them as a teacher. Often, abusers would come in because they know that they have easy access to children in a Sunday school. They might volunteer. So you need to screen them. I'm not putting fear in you. I'm just making you aware of how you can prevent abuse of children, of vulnerable children in your church setting. Screen the staff, backgrounds and reference checks. Make sure you do that. Very often we don't. We just trust people and we bring them in. But these are the things that needs to be in place in a Sunday school as well. Code of conduct. Define clearly what is appropriate, what is expected, what is inappropriate behavior of an adult with a child. Make it very clear to them before they are appointed as Sunday school teacher or they are appointed as volunteers for any program. Now, documenting and reporting is next step, especially when some child opens up and is sharing with you whatever he or she is going through. Or a simple thing like this little girl's story. If she comes and says, I saw something I don't understand. Well, that's a good conversation starter. Keep notes. Keep documenting whatever the child is saying. Observe how he or she is expressing. What are their feelings? What are their emotions? Make those observations and keep a record of those observations with dates and context for your records. Remember, you have to share it with the parents as well. So keep a record. Know your protocols. Follow the church's reporting procedures promptly. I'm sure there are certain steps in churches as the Sunday school teachers get trained. There are protocols set. Follow those protocols. Support disclosure. Stay calm. Don't get worked up and upset and anxious when a child shares something which is very sensitive. Stay calm as a teacher, as a volunteer, and as an adult for the child who's looking up to you for support. Affirm the child's feelings and report appropriately. At this time, don't question the child. Just listen, document, and assure the child that they are in safe place. They are being heard. And assure them that they are not in fault so that they know they don't blame themselves. Reporting procedures. Protocols ensure all staff know mandatory reporting steps. Anonymous reporting provides safe options for reporting concerns. Sometimes you have to be very careful how you share and with whom you share. Address all reports. Take every concern seriously. Continuous improvement. Annual audits. Regularly review safeguarding practices in your church. Feedback loops. Encourage input from staff, parents, and children. Let them share. Stay informed. Adapt to updated standards and research. And in conclusion, I would like to say, building a safe community is each of our responsibility. I have a right to be safe. And it's my responsibility to make sure that every child around me is safe. Create a culture of openness, transparency, and respect that protects children. Together, create a supportive environment for families who are facing challenges because their children have been exposed or exposed to abuse or under abuse or victims of abuse. Closing thought, let the children come to me. Do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Mark 10:14. Jesus said this. He loved children, and so are we to love children. And when we love them, we need to protect them. Remember, they are vulnerable. They are helpless. And each one of us are a voice for them. So, like I always say, to be safe and protected is my right. But to make sure people around me are safe, especially children, is my responsibility. Let all of us be responsible citizens, responsible adults, responsible, trusted adults in a church setting as well. Thank you.